Thank you, Ken. Thank you. My talk today is on vision and fortitude, two of those four powers that we're looking at, which are connected into imagination and to strength. And I wanted to celebrate the contribution of Black and people of color's dedication and commitment to our democracy. And unfortunately, with the events of January 6th, they tended to overshadow the events of January 5th. And I really felt as if something got lost there, something powerful and real got lost there. So we are celebrating Martin Luther King, and I also want to celebrate and lift up the Black women, particularly of Georgia, but just of this whole country, who have really lifted up our democracy. And Misa reminded me today of something that earlier this week about something that I kind of remembered, but it wasn't really at the forefront of my memory at all, is that Martin Luther King Day on Monday is actually not a day off. I know it feels like it's a day off, but it's actually a national day of service. It's the only federal holiday in the United States that is dedicated to being a day of service. And that speaks so beautifully to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's message. One of the most powerful questions that he asked and that he put forward in this beautiful quote is, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for others? Because this component of being of service is the foundation and the very bedrock of what it is that we know and believe is how we move things forward. We are doing it because we're showing up not just for ourselves, but for the larger whole. And recently, Kamala Harris, as she was dressed in her suffragette white, spoke to this idea about women and women's place in our democracy. And what she said was, women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are often, too often, overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy. And so what I wanted to do for my talk on vision and fortitude is lift high those voices that we don't really get to hear, those voices that have been working tirelessly for decades to ensure equal rights and equal participation in our democracy. So I'm going to invite you to sit back and listen to this song. Please know that the slideshow that I created is not complete, and I know it. And so apologies in advance for all those names and faces of the thousands, tens of thousands, that should, if I could have, would be represented in this slideshow. Misa, can you take us away here?
My footprints on the sands of time. No, there was something that meant something that I left behind. When I leave this world, I'll leave no regrets. Leave something to remember so they won't forget I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I wanna say I lived each day until I died, and know that I meant something to someone and somebody's life. The proof that I leave, that I made a difference, and this world will see I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it could be. I will leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it could be. I wanna leave my mark so everyone will know I was here. I just want you to know that I give my all and do my best to bring someone some happiness, make this world a little better just because I am here. Everything that I wanted, it's so much more than I thought it could be. I wanna leave my mark, everyone will know I am here.
I will leave my mark so everyone will know that I am here. If that isn't vision and fortitude, I don't know what is. And these women showed up in service to something that is so much bigger than them, than just the Black community, than just people of color, as we saw on January 5th. This is bigger than just this small awareness that we carry with ourselves, how we show up. So Shirley Chisholm has this wonderful quote about service. Service is the rent that you pay for room on this earth. And I just love that because it's non-negotiable as far as she's concerned. This isn't an option. Service isn't an option. Service is what you do, who you are. The fact that you are living and breathing means that service is part of who and what you're called to, answering that call to serve. So one of the main figures who really sort of was transformational in what happened in Georgia over the past decade, not just overnight, but this has been a long, hard battle that has been going on there for a while around voter suppression. First it was voter equality, and then when the voter Voting Rights Act expired, the shift became as millions of people, literally millions of people, were expelled from the voter rolls in Georgia. It became about voter suppression. It became about how do we educate? How do we move people forward? But before Stacey Abrams stepped into this space, she ran for governor and did not win by something like 56,000 votes, and given the millions that were purged just prior to the election. She had a choice that she had to then make. And so we're going to come in a little bit into her TED Talk, and I highly recommend this TED Talk, by the way, so please do look for the entirety of it. Actually, we'll get a link, and we'll get it out to people. But the story that she's told up until this point is she was valedictorian of her high school. And in Georgia, all the valedictorians of the high schools get to go and meet the governor at the governor's mansion. And there's this big event to celebrate the valedictorians. And so her and her parents got on a bus and went all the way across. It sounded like it was very far away because they didn't have a car. And they got off the bus at the governor's mansion. And there's all these cars dropping off other valedictorians. And they walk up to the security gate, and the security guard takes one look at them and says, "You don't belong here. This is a private event." And she and her parents tell him that she is on the list, and he looks at the bus behind her where she got off, and he looks back at her and he says, "You don't belong here. This is a private event." And there is a whole back and forth that happens between her parents and the guard until finally he agrees to actually look at the list of who is supposed to be allowed into the event. And her name, of course, is on the list, and he lets her in. And she talks about how she doesn't remember meeting the governor that day. She doesn't remember meeting any of the valedictorians. She doesn't remember anything about that day except that experience with the guard where the gates were shut. And that became a pivotal moment for her as she stepped forward. Let's listen to Stacey Abrams as she picks up right from there.
You see, I didn't want to just open the gates for young black women who had been underestimated and told they don't belong. I wanted to open those gates for Latinas and for Asian Americans. I wanted to open those gates for the undocumented and the documented. I wanted to open those gates as an ally of the LGBTQ community. I wanted to open those gates for the families that have to call themselves the victims of gun violence. I wanted to open those gates wide for everyone in Georgia because that is our state and this is our nation and we all belong here. But what I recognize is that the first try wasn't enough. And my question became, how do I move forward? How do I get beyond the bitterness and the sadness and the lethargy and watching an inordinate amount of television as I eat ice cream? What do I do next?
Sitting around watching an inordinate amount of ice cream and watching TV. I don't know if any of us can relate to that. So what do we do next? What do all of us do next when we're set out to have a vision that we have, to have a dream that we have accomplished, to see it through, and then somehow it falls short? Now, Stacey Abrams ran into a pivot point. This was a pivotal moment for her. She was being pressured tremendously from all sides to actually run for the Senate that Warnock and Ossoff just ran in. She was being pressured to run in that race. And she had to do some deep listening as to what was hers to do, not in service to her own story, but what was going to be in service to the community. And that is where Stacey Abrams decided that instead of running for her own political office, what she was going to do was ensure that everyone in the state of Georgia who could vote would actually be able to vote. And she started Fair Fight. And Fair Fight is what transformed this election in Georgia. In partnership with so many other people, Latasha Brown from Black Voters Matters, right? There were so many people on the ground that were doing this work. But what Stacey Abrams and what all of these activists have in common is they have activated two of our unity powers so tremendously within themselves. And they are the power of imagination, and they are the power of strength. The ability to imagine, to picture, to envision, to dream, married with the ability to endure, to stay the course, and to persevere. Because as Stacey said, things don't go the way we want them to go. Things don't always show up exactly the way we want them to show up. But does that mean that we give up on the dream? So she has a beautiful quote, and I'm using quotes throughout this talk as much as possible because I literally want to give voice to these women. That's literally what I want to do. She says, "Remember this in the darkest moments, when the work doesn't seem worth it and change seems just out of reach. Out of our willingness to push through comes a tremendous power. Use it." So what is Stacey speaking to? In this moment, she is speaking to the capacity to be strong. She is speaking to our ability to be able to persevere. And that as we persevere, we shall overcome. That song, that spiritual speaks to that innate awareness of the inner strength that we are all invited to draw upon in every arena of our life. These women are such role models for all of us. I wish I had the strength and commitment in my pinky, right? I mean, in my whole body that Stacey Abrams has in her pinky. And when we get to that place, as she talked about, where we're lethargic and we're tired and we're just eating ice cream, what do? Because the things that will overwhelm us are fear and fatigue. Those are the things that will wear us down. Those are the things that will keep us from stepping forward and living into our dream. They are the things that stand in our way in terms of our capacity to actually be able to overcome our own limitations and overcome the limitations that we experience in the world around us. So Stacey has 3 questions that she asks herself. She asks herself, what do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you get it? Those are her 3 questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you get it? And the why do you want it, her wanting to open the gates for everyone, is what determined her what. It was her why that fed her what. So because she wanted to open the gates, her what became that I want everyone who can vote, eligible to vote, to actually vote. That became her what. And how she did it was through her fair fight, right? That was how she did it. So the question is, what is your why? What is your why? What is the thing that's going to get you up in the mornings when you don't want to get up in the morning? What is the thing that no matter what may be showing up in the world around you that's telling you that you are not enough? That what you are hoping for or dreaming for is an impossible dream? That you will never see it in your generation? And these women have been working towards this with no assurity that they will actually reap the benefits now, but they're doing it for their children and their children's children. They're doing it for our children and our children's children. So what is your why? Because without your why, you aren't going to have the strength to get out of bed in the morning. Without your why, you are going to find yourself lost. Stacey says, because I learned long ago that winning doesn't always mean you get the prize. Sometimes you get progress, and that counts. So when we can shift our focus from the what to our why, we're able to stay energized. We're able to actually persevere. because we can see the progress, even if that progress is so small compared to all the injustice that we see out there. There is progress because it's your why that will activate your strength and your fortitude. That is where you can draw upon. So strength, that ability to endure, to stay the course, to persevere. I want everyone to just close your eyes for a second and just feel into that place within you that perseveres, come what may. Even in the midst of everything we're in the midst of, touch that space within you that is persevering right now. And the affirmation for this power is, I have the strength to accomplish all that is mine to do. So let's know this together, please. I have the strength to accomplish all that is mine to do. Yeah. And that's your why. What is yours to do? What is it? And strength, we're not going to live in strength alone, right? Because persevering isn't enough. Persevering is one aspect that we want to activate within ourselves. But we also want to bring our imagination into this. We want to bring the dream into this. We want to bring our vision, our ability to be able to picture and to see forward past what is showing up right now. So Audre Lorde has this beautiful quote. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my mission, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. When we marry our vision with our strength, we are unstoppable. And your why fuels both of them, your strength and your imagination. Latasha Brown tweeted this out when the results came through. We worked, we believed, we won. Strength, perseverance, the vision to believe in it. And there's faith in there too, right? I picked these 4 powers specifically for this whole theme. We need all of them working together in order for us to actually make this a world that works for everyone. And at the core of it all is love, as we started off with, that radiating center of love. So my question for you, as we have these amazing role models. We have these strong, fierce women who time and time and time again have demonstrated to us the power of our why and the power of our being willing to serve. What is your why? And how will you serve? Because there is a way that only you can do it. What is yours to do? Stacy was very clear. She caught. It was not hers to be the senator. That wasn't hers to do. Fair fight was hers. That was what she was going to stand in. What is your why? And how will you serve? I'm going to give us one last quote by Harriet Tubman before we step into our time of meditation. Every dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. That is who we are, dreamers. Calling into time and in space that which is possible, making it manifest. So let's take this into our time of meditation, our capacity to dream, our capacity to know that we have the strength, the faith, the imagination, and the love to overcome anything and everything that seems to stand in our way.